two screw threads, 5 degrees apart. One of them any workshop in the world could cut. The other needed a cutting tool you had to make first. Before any of this, there was no standard at all. Every workshop cut its own threads to its own angle at its own pitch. A bolt made in one town would not enter a nut made in the next. If a machine broke, you did not order a replacement bolt. You made one to fit the hole in front of you. In 1841, Joseph Whitworth did something obvious and enormous. He collected threads from workshops across England, measured them, and averaged what he found. The answer came out at 55 degrees, with the crest and the root rounded off so a thread would survive being knocked about and filled with grit. Whitworth did not invent that thread. He wrote down what England was already doing. This is one of Whitworth's own self-acting lathes from 1843. A machine like this could hold the form. The question was how many shops had one. So why did America pick a different number? Hold the pitch fixed and sweep the angle. Watch the flank length. At 60 degrees and only at 60 degrees, the flank comes out exactly equal to the pitch, because the sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. The fundamental triangle is equilateral. That identity shows up on the shop floor as a gauge. A 60-degree center gauge is just an equilateral notch cut into a piece of steel. Grind the tool until it fits the notch with no light showing and the form is correct. Any competent mechanic on any plain lathe. The angle is only half of it. Sellers truncated his thread flat, 1/8 of the pitch at the crest and at the root. A plain pointed tool cuts that. Whitworth rounded both, on a radius of about 14/100ths of the pitch. There is no straight run anywhere on that form, so there is nothing for a plain tool to register against. You need a cutter ground to the shape, and a master gauge to check it. So how does a lathe cut a thread at all? The pitch is not cut by hand. The spindle drives a train of change gears, and those gears turn the lead screw. Close the half nut, and the carriage is locked to that lead screw. Now every single turn of the work moves the tool exactly 1 pitch along the bed. Change the gear ratio and you change the pitch. That mechanism is identical whether you are cutting 55 degrees or 60. Change gears for different pitches. Set the ratio once and the machine repeats it on every pass. Here is where the angle comes back. You could feed straight in with the cross slide, but then both flanks cut at the same time. Twice the chip load, more heat, and the tool starts to chatter. So the compound rest is swung over to just under half the included angle, 29.5 degrees for a 60-degree thread. Now the tool feeds mainly down one flank and the trailing flank is only shaved clean. And a thread is never one cut. You take a series of passes, a few thousandths of an inch at a time, and finish with a spring pass at no extra in feed to take out the flex in the machine. Between passes you wind back, and the thread dial tells you when to close the half nut on the very same groove. Miss it, and you have cut a second thread across the first. Now scale that up to a country. A 60-degree tool is ground freehand and checked against a gauge that costs almost nothing, so a regrind costs minutes. A Whitworth form tool has to keep its radii through every single regrind. That means a form grinder or a template and an inspector who can measure a curve. Same lathe, same lead screw, very different overhead. In 1864, William Sellers took exactly that argument to the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. His case was not that Whitworth was wrong. It was that America could not build Whitworth's thread at scale. The United States Navy adopted Sellers in 1868. The railroads followed in 1871. The bill came due in the Second World War. When Packard built Rolls-Royce Merlin engines in Detroit, the drawings were British, and so were the threads. An American factory had to tool up for Whitworth to build a British engine. 2 allies, 1 war, and a 5-degree disagreement in the middle of it. The mechanism never changed. A machinist cutting a thread today is using the same lead screw, the same half nut, and the same compound angle. In 1948, Britain, America and Canada signed the Unified Thread Agreement in Washington. Sellers' 60-degree angle on Whitworth's rounded roots. Metric threads made the same choice. Both men are in every bolt you own. The survey, the argument, and the treaty are in the full article. The link is in the description.